So I thought I'd give 4DX a go for the first time. You know, that format where you can watch a film and experience all the environmental effects such as seat motion, wind, rain, fog, lights, and even scents. Sounds fun, doesn't it? So stay tuned after my grade for Deepwater Horizon to find out exactly what I thought of this very new viewing experience. So Deepwater Horizon, directed by Peter Berg and starring Mark Wahlberg. Deepwater Horizon is an American disaster movie based on true events that happened during the year 2010. I remember seeing these events unfold on the news very clearly about 6 years ago in the Gulf of Mexico, which also became the result of the largest accidental oil spill in history, doing tremendous damage to the environment. Now, the film focuses on events leading up to the disaster, from introducing you to the characters, to decisions being made that resulted in the cause of the disaster, and then you follow the crew that were caught among the horrifying events that occurred and try to survive and escape the rig. And it also makes time to remember those that lost their lives on that very fateful day. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Mark Wahlberg, but in this, his performance as Mike Williams blew me away. I thought he gave a really good performance in this. It was a very grounded performance as the real-life hero Mike Williams. Now, I've not actually seen a Peter Berg film before. I've seen bits or parts of Battleship, which were questionable. But I was amazed on how well this film was made. From very good direction from Peter Berg, very good performances all around from the cast, and from a technological standpoint, very seamless and very well made. Technically, this was almost a perfect movie. There were moments where it kind of looked CGI to me, but they were not moments that actually stood out and took me out of the film. Because of all these different aspects that were done so well, it also helps achieve this grounded, down-to-earth, gritty feeling. Everything in the movie felt real and authentic. It doesn't feel like your typical Hollywood movie taking a real-life event and turning it into a fake, mindless action film. But it felt more like an accurate, realistic retelling of terrible events that occurred on that day on this oil rig. Now, Kurt Russell in this film, I wasn't aware that Kurt Russell was in this film, as well as John Malkovich, but Kurt Russell's performance as a Jimmy Harrell was also very good. I really dug his performance as this. He was playing this general operations supervisor who has concerns about the way they're going about things on the rig and decisions that are being made by BP. So he confronts these executives that are on board at the time, and you get these really sort of tense discussions between Kurt Russell's character and the BP executives, and I thought they were very, very well written and very well performed. These discussions, they were really, really tense, and there were very, very intense moments and these particular scenes, and there were moments where they weren't even given dialogue. They were just looking at each other. And I think this performance by Kurt Russell and John Malkovich, really helped those moments. I mean, create that tension. Now, John Malkovich, another actor that I didn't actually know was in this film. I love this actor, and I thought he also delivered a very good performance. He portrays a BP executive that comes aboard the rig with a few other executives from BP who were all frustrated with the project's long delays, and they make very short-sighted and unsafe decisions that lead to the devastating events that occur. Now, the villain of the story, as far as I'm concerned, is BP, British Petroleum. I think this film did a very good job on focusing on the reasons to why this disaster occurred, and it's all down pretty much to greed, money. They're so many days behind schedule. The executives are panicking, so they make very dangerous decisions that are all in the name of greed. Money, money, money. Make it rain, make it rain. And I think that was an important part of the story, and they get that message across very, very well. I thought you have this big evil corporate entity, which is BP, don't care so much for the little people as long as they get the oil out ASAP and get the cash flowing. And then you have the little people who are the real heroes that confront these decisions being made and eventually have to fight to survive and save the lives of others as the result of these decisions being made by PP. Now, I was gripped from start to finish with this film, and I feel that's all down to Peter Berg's direction. This was such a well-crafted movie, from a technological standpoint and from the performance of the cast to the sound design and the music. I think Peter Berg did a very good job at developing these characters. The first act pretty much introduces us to these characters, and they're brought to life so well by the cast and a very tight script and direction from Berg, and you end up feeling emotionally invested into these characters as a result, and you care for these characters. And then you're then led into a very intense second act, and I mean, this second act really was intense for me anyway. And you have all these decisions being made, to the quick shots of inside the pipes that are supposed to bring up the oil, and you can see everything starting to go to hell and everything breaking apart. And even though those quick shots inside the pipes, they looked a little bit fake to me. I mean, that's where the CGI really kind of popped into my face a little bit. But not, it was so intense with all these discussions going on above that it didn't really bother me that much. And like I previously said, I watched this in 4DX, so you had everything else going on. You had the seats shaking. So, the actual CGI effect that did bother me a little bit didn't bother me to the extent that it took me out of the film. You as viewers knows what's going to happen. But the way in which it's crafted, the movie literally puts you on the edge of your seat. It was so intense. Again, this was down to the focus on the characters making these wrongful decisions, and the confrontations, to the very tight script and very good performances of the cast. It was very intense. And then you have the final act where everything just goes to hell. And again, very well made by Peter Berg. I mean, he did a very good job at making sure this didn't fall into your typical Hollywood fake retelling action movie. And it's a trap in which the third act could have dangerously fallen into. But it didn't fall into that trap, because this film was crafted so well. I mean, it was technically impressive, and this movie really should be recognised for that. It's a technical achievement because it felt so real. Everything looked real, gritty and grounded. I really did enjoy Deepwater Horizon. I think it was just a very well made film. I will be giving Deepwater Horizon an A-. Now we're going to go onto the 4DX aspect of the movie. This was my first experience watching a film in 4DX. There's not actually many cinemas in the UK that actually provide this format. The cinema I go to recently had it installed, so I thought I'd give it a go with Deepwater Horizon. You pretty much got all the elements. You've got water, you've got fire, you've got wind, and you would have all the smells. So I thought it'd be a good film to watch, to check out the 4DX format for the first time. The one thing I was really afraid with was being thrown out of the movie. I wanted to be immersed, and I was afraid that this format, down to the seats moving and having water blowing onto your face as well as wind and all that it would actually take you out of the story, because a lot of 3D films does that for me. I am not a massive fan of 3D films, and I fancy a lot of them just take you out instead of immersing you. But I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the 4DX performance of this movie, and it actually really did immerse me into the film even more, and that's something I really didn't expect. Now, this is something I was surprised by, but I think it's all down to the very smartly timed effects that occur to coincide with the events that's going on the screen. I mean, the seats moved exactly when you would expect them to, and there were times when I didn't even know they were moving because they were so in sync with what's happening on the screen, mainly during the aerial shots of helicopters, and when you're above the rig. I mean, the seats were moving, so they were giving you that sort of sensation that you were there with a camera looking down at these, at the helicopter or at the rig. And I really, until I actually glanced to my side, to the person that was with me, and I could see that person was a little bit higher than me, that I realised, my God, the seats were actually moving. Also, the wind effects were great. It also felt very real, and the smells they created to represent the smells of the fire really did immerse you further into the film, as if you're experiencing it for yourself. You know, now this film is a very well made film to begin with, and presenting it in this format just made it a much more, say, thrilling experience in a way. I mean, almost as if you're actually experiencing this, you know, with the crew of this rig, and because it was so immersive, and again it allows you to get more emotionally attached to the actual, you know, to the events, to the characters, because it does feel like you've been immersed so much into the film. 4DX really did surprise me. I really didn't expect to actually enjoy it as much as I did. So it's definitely, if there's a cinema nearby with 4DX in, I attend the Cineworld in Cardiff. So, and they've just had it installed, but like I said, there's only a few in the country, but I'm not sure what those cinemas are. But I would say definitely give it a go. I do think when it comes to 4DX, it has to be the right film, and I just think this happened to be the right film. I might end up watching a film in the future in 4DX, and it might just have the complete opposite effect and take me out. Because, like I said, with 3D, I am just not a massive fan of 3D. I prefer 2D. I fancy I can get immersed into the film without having the 3D gimmick, because I'm just not a massive fan of it at all. But there are those there are those very few films that have done 3D well, and you know, they have been quite immersive, and I was just afraid with 4DX that it would just spoil the entire experience. But in this particular instance, in this film, it didn't. I'm not sure about anyone else who watches my channel. Any one of you out there have experienced 4DX as well? What did you think? Did you like the 4DX experience? Please let me know below. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Did you like Deepwater Horizon? Have you yet to see it? Do you agree with me? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you see, please hit subscribe and follow me on my journey. And I'll be seeing all you guys soon.